Tonight, Shedeur Sanders made the entire National Football League look like a whole bunch of petty fools. In many cases, Dion despising fools. Tonight at Carolina, Shedeur Sanders made all those teams that had 143 chances to draft him before he went 144th. He shamed all of them, including the Cleveland Browns, who finally took him in the 5th round.
The NFL just got served a reality check so brutal, it should come with a parental advisory warning. Shedeur Sanders didn't just play his first preseason game on Friday night, he launched a full-scale demolition of every executive, scout, and so-called expert who let him slide to pick 144.
According to Stephen A. Smith, the Browns were setting Shedeur Sanders up for failure. If that's what failure looks like, every rookie quarterback in the league would be signing up for failure.
Yes, 144. The same number of chances the league had to draft the future of football before Cleveland finally came to their senses. And Skip Bayless? Oh, Skip is about to turn this into a masterclass on why the NFL should be writing apology letters in blood. Grab your popcorn, folks. This level of vindication is about to get spicy.
Hey, now how y'all feel now? How y'all feel now? No matter what he do, how you feel now? That man playing for his daddy. All you haters, if you hate Shadur, you hate football. How can you not love that story? Deion Sanders, absolute legend, icon, now his son, picking up the pace. Balling out.
Skip Bayless walked into his studio like a man who'd been holding receipts for months, and honey, it was time to cash them all in. Tonight, Shedeur Sanders made the entire National Football League look like a whole bunch of petty fools, Skip declared, his voice carrying the weight of every "I told you so" in sports media history.
Tonight at Carolina, Shedeur Sanders made all those teams that had 143 chances to draft him before he went 144th. He shamed all of them, including the Cleveland Browns, who finally took him in the 5th round. I'm convinced only because the owner, the publicity-starved owner, just wanted some more shock value publicity. Oh, we took him.
And when Skip Bayless calls you petty, that's like Gordon Ramsay saying your cooking needs work. It cuts deep. But he wasn't done cooking. In some cases, racist fools. In many cases, Dion-despising fools, he continued. Because Skip wasn't just throwing punches, he was throwing haymakers with the precision of a heat-seeking missile. The man said what everyone was thinking, but was too scared to say out loud.
And last night, Shedeur Sanders proved that he belongs in the NFL. Well, Casey, that's ridiculous. This was a preseason game. It means nothing. I'm not going to sit here and say this was a big moment for the Browns as an organization, for Bryce Young and the Panthers starters. This was essentially a scrimmage. For those of us watching at home, it was a meaningless preseason game in early August. But for Shedeur Sanders, this was a make-or-break game.
2 touchdowns. 2! That's all it took for Shedeur Sanders to turn NFL draft boards into expensive toilet paper. The kid walked into Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte like he owned the deed, threw for 138 yards on 14 of 23 passing, and made every GM who passed on him look like they were playing fantasy football with Monopoly money. Meanwhile, Skip is in his studio doing victory laps around his desk because this man predicted Shadur should have been the #1 pick before the college season even started. Not second, not third, #1. And Friday night proved that Skip's crystal ball wasn't just working, it was high definition.
Do not, and I repeat, do not listen to the people that say, it was just a preseason game. Because if Shedeur Sanders had thrown 2 interceptions and not 2 touchdowns, they would have called him trash. But now, because he actually played well and looks like an NFL quarterback, it's, it was just a preseason game. What does it matter? I'll tell you what it matters. Those of us who actually watched him in college and know football know that this was a first-round draft talent.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. But here's where it gets juicy. Remember all those whispers about Shadeur's attitude problem? Remember the reports about his entitled behavior that supposedly scared teams away? Well, turns out the only thing entitled about Shedeur Sanders is his right to throw touchdown passes like he's conducting a symphony orchestra. His first scoring strike was a thing of beauty, a 7-yard laser to Caden Davis that threaded between two defenders like Tom Cruise sliding through Mission Impossible lasers. The precision wasn't just NFL ready, it was NFL elite, and all those scouts who said he couldn't handle pressure. They were watching him handle blitzes while probably struggling to handle their own embarrassment.
We could pick two plays, Ocho. Well, damn, he missed the Sam Strong safety blitz, where he had a guy ride over to the flat on 2nd and 18, and he skipped the ball to him. But you saw that over route that Brock Purdy throws so well in the San Francisco offense. You see him fit the ball into those small windows. Yeah. Did you see him on the move throw that touch pass? Now, the receiver made a great one-handed catch, but did you see the touch?
Skip Bayless wasn't just celebrating, he was conducting a full autopsy on the NFL's decision-making process. He shamed all of them, including the Cleveland Browns, who finally took him in the 5th round, Skip declared, because even the team that drafted him initially didn't want him. The Browns passed on Shadur in the 3rd round, took Dylan Gabriel instead, and then had to trade up in the 5th to get the guy they should have taken earlier. It's like going to a restaurant, ordering the fish, regretting it immediately, then paying extra to get the steak you wanted in the first place. Except this steak happened to be the best quarterback in the draft, and the fish was, well, we'll see about that.
I said before last college season started that Shedeur Sanders should go number 1 overall. It was either he or Travis, 1, 2, 2, 1, and I would go every time with the quarterback because he is the quarterback. He is he.
The second touchdown was poetry in motion, a 12-yard strike to Caden Davis under pressure that had all the characteristics of a franchise quarterback. Pressure in his face, no problem. Blitz coming, child's play. Shadur stepped up in the pocket like he'd been doing this for years, not years. And Skip is watching this unfold like a prophet whose predictions are coming true in real time. Did you see the mustard on it? Did you see the velocity hitting Caden Davis right there just above the turf? Skip was breaking down that throw like it was the Zapruder film because for him, this wasn't just a touchdown. It was vindication served on a silver platter with a side of, I told you so. But let's talk about the elephant in the room that Skip wasn't afraid to address, the racial undertones of Shedur's draft slide. When a talent this obvious falls this far, you start asking questions that make people uncomfortable. Skip didn't dance around it. He called it what it was. Petty, racist, and driven by people who couldn't separate their feelings about Deion Sanders from evaluating his son's undeniable talent. Because let's be real, if Shedeur Sanders was the son of literally any other former NFL player, would he have fallen to the 5th round? The answer makes a lot of people squirm, which is exactly why it needed to be said.
He doesn't get spooked. He moves just enough. A lot of younger quarterbacks will get spooked and he'll just run away. He moves a little bit, sets up, sees it, throws a strike. Okay, down low, away, so you don't kill your receiver.
Meanwhile, Deion Sanders was in full proud papa mode, tweeting, "Yes, Lord, yes," after the first touchdown, and "God is so good" after the second. Coach Prime was living every father's dream, watching his son prove the doubters wrong on the biggest stage possible. And you know what? He earned the right to celebrate. This man coached his son through college, dealt with all the criticism, all the hate, all the whispers about nepotism and entitlement, and then watched Shadur walk into the NFL and immediately start cooking. That's not just good parenting, that's masterful preparation, meeting perfect opportunity. The stats don't lie, even if the NFL draft boards did. 14 completions on 23 attempts, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a passer rating of 106.7. These aren't good for a rookie numbers. These are good for anybody numbers. Against a Panthers defense that was trying to prove something in their own building, Shadur looked like he belonged from snap one. He scrambled for first downs, made throws under pressure, and showed the kind of poise that veterans struggle to maintain. Meanwhile, all those teams that passed on him are probably having emergency meetings trying to figure out how they explain this to their fan bases.
In his first preseason game, 11 of 19, 103 yards passing, 2 TDs. You know Coach Prime was fired up. Time, yes, Lord. Yes, Shedeur Sanders. Oh, yeah, what now, Coach Prime? God is good. Shout out to Cocoa Butter Brothers for sending us this video. LeBron James even weighed in. That young king looking good out there. Shedeur Sanders, keep going up, head down, and grind, and head high to the most high. Jordan Schultz, text from a high-ranking AFC North executive on the Browns rookie. Shedeur Sanders, it's early, but wow, actually shocked how good he looks.
Skip Bayless was operating at peak vindication levels, and it was beautiful to watch. This kid's the truth. He will change your whole franchise, Skip proclaimed, because when you're right this dramatically, you don't whisper, you shout it from the mountaintops. And he wasn't wrong. The Browns needed a spark, needed something to get excited about after years of quarterback carousel disasters. Shedeur Sanders walked in and immediately changed the conversation, not just about the Browns, but about the entire draft process. How do you let talent like this slide to pick 144? How do you sleep at night knowing you passed on this? The most beautiful part of this whole story? Shadur wasn't even supposed to start. He was fourth string, barely getting reps with the practice squad, basically treated like an afterthought. Then injuries hit Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel, and suddenly the kid who supposedly wasn't ready got thrown into the fire against Carolina's first-team defense. Most rookies would have crumbled. Most fifth-round picks would have been happy just to complete a few passes and not embarrass themselves. But Shedeur Sanders isn't most rookies, and Friday night proved it in IMAX. Surround sound, high-definition glory.
Can you be a leader of men? Can you go in calm, show a presence of leadership, run the team, command the team, show that regardless of who's around you, you can still conduct yourself like quarterback one. He was calm, under pressure, went through his progressions, made some great throws, had some errant throws. You know, obviously that's what film is for. That's what the preseason is for. To fix the nooks and the crannies, to get him out. He looked like he belonged, He looked different.
He did.
And
the media was having a field day, and rightfully so. This wasn't just a good preseason performance, this was a cultural moment. Former NFL players were sliding into his mentions with praise. Even the announcers on NFL Network were losing their minds. Shedeur Sanders, welcome to the NFL. Chris Rose shouted after that first touchdown, because sometimes a moment is so perfect, so obvious in its significance, that even the most professional broadcasters can't contain their excitement. But here's what makes this story even better. Shadur wasn't satisfied. After throwing 2 touchdowns and leading his team to victory, the kid had the audacity to say he didn't feel sharp, that he could have been better. That's not false modesty. That's the mindset of a competitor who understands that this was just the beginning. While everyone else was celebrating his arrival, he was already focused on improvement. That's championship DNA right there, the kind of mentality that separates good players from franchise changers.
If you look at the stats, you'd clearly see that Shedeur Sanders is already the 4th best QB in Browns team history. He's thrown 0 interceptions, which is a franchise record, and he's lost 0 games, so he's undefeated. So by my ranking, I currently have Shedeur Sanders at number 4 behind Bernie Kosar, Joe Flacco, and Spurgeon Wynn.
Skip wasn't done with his victory lap, though. Greatness flows through his veins, he declared, referencing Shedur's genetics as the son of one of the greatest athletes ever. And you know what? He wasn't wrong. You can't teach that kind of natural composure, that innate understanding of how to command a huddle and lead grown men. Shedeur Sanders was born for this moment, raised for this pressure, and when his number was called, he delivered like he'd been doing it his whole life. Because in many ways, he has been. The contrast couldn't have been more stark. While other rookie quarterbacks were nervous about their first NFL snaps, Shadur was out there looking like a 10-year veteran. While other teams were making excuses about why they passed on him, he was making excuses obsolete with every perfect spiral. The kid didn't just meet expectations, he obliterated them and then casually asked if anyone wanted to set the bar higher. That's not confidence. That's quiet dominance. The kind that makes you wonder how 31 teams convinced themselves they didn't need him.
One of the greatest cornerback and to me the greatest athlete ever. Greatness flows through his veins, and I said it all year long. He should go 1 in the draft ahead of Cam Ward. My friend Mel Kiper began to echo, not me, but just echo that emotion, that point of view. And Mel went off on draft night when he slid and failed to be taken by the entire National Football League, including Tom Brady's team. What was it, 5 times? Tom Brady's Raiders could have drafted him. You can't tell me that Tom Brady didn't say no to Shedeur.
And the best part? This is just the appetizer. If Shedeur Sanders can look this good with minimal practice time, limited reps with the first team, and no real expectation to succeed, Imagine what he'll look like when he gets a full training camp, a real opportunity, and weapons who've had time to build chemistry with him. The NFL just witnessed the birth of something special, and Skip Bayless was there to document every beautiful second of it like a sports media archaeologist uncovering buried treasure. The haters went silent faster than a library after closing time. All those draft experts who questioned his arm strength were probably rewinding that 30-yard laser to Luke Floria, the one-handed catch that set up his second touchdown. All those scouts who worried about his pocket presence were probably studying his footwork under pressure like it was required reading. And all those GMs who passed on him, they were probably updating their resumes because explaining how you let a franchise quarterback slide to the 5th round isn't exactly a career-enhancing move.
For Deion Sanders and Shedeur Sanders, all I can say is I think it's disgusting. I don't understand what the heck's going on with this. 5th player on my board. It's never happened before in 47 years where a player that high has dropped this far into the 4th round at quarterback. That's sitting there in round 4 with other quarterbacks being taken who aren't as good as Shadur, aren't even close, in my opinion, in terms of accuracy, toughness. Arm strength is certainly more than good enough. I don't see, outside of not being have the rocket arm and the 4.6 speed and a big frame, the 6'3", 230-pound frame, what is he lacking? Somebody's going to have to explain that one to me.
Skip Bayless understood the assignment and then some. This wasn't just analysis. This was a complete dismantling of everything wrong with how the NFL evaluates talent, particularly when that talent comes with a famous last name and the confidence to match. You want to win? You want a franchise quarterback? You want the truth at quarterback? Skip asked rhetorically, because he already knew the answer. The truth was wearing number 2 in Cleveland brown and orange, and it was absolutely magnificent to witness. The ripple effects are just beginning. Other teams are probably going back through their draft boards trying to figure out how they missed this so badly. Coaches are probably wondering if their evaluation process needs a complete overhaul. And fans? Fans are probably thinking about what could have been if their team had shown the courage to draft talent over politics, ability over perception. Because that's what this was, a failure of courage disguised as careful evaluation. Shedeur Sanders didn't just prove his critics wrong, he made them look foolish in the process.